Hey there, welcome to Springer's Adventures. Frank here. So today we're going to swap out and put power steering finally in the old 52 truck. This last weekend was probably the last time I felt like trying to make a U-turn in the old manual steering box, which I have adjusted and there's just no more, and the box is pretty much worn out. I do have a later model G-body GM clip under the front of it that I put underneath the truck, so we're going to go from that route there. I was able to find the power steering box and a pump and all that good stuff. And I had some brackets and pulleys laying around the shop here. So we're going to go ahead and put that all in there and convert it over to power steering. So let me show you all the stuff that I ended up picking up for the truck and what I needed. So this is a reman pump. I'll go ahead and I'll put all the part numbers for the stuff that I have here that I'm doing on the installation. But this is a Saginaw box, 80 to like 92 F-body, G-body style General Motors cars. It does have the metric fittings here. These are the fittings, and they're not flared, so they'll take the newer style tubes with the O-rings on there. Picked up a couple of the tubes with the O-ring fittings on there, and then I had an old GM style steering pump that would fit on there with a bracket that I could put on there. The only thing I wasn't quite sure of, the older GM boxes had a flared fitting, but the guy at the parts store was able to find me a box, identical match to that style one there like that. And this is actually, take this out here, this is actually set up for a tube fitting with the O-ring as well for the newer style. So I was able to use the two lines I had. So bottom line, I had to buy a new pump, had to buy a steering box, had to buy a couple lines. I've already had the pulley I needed, and I already had a bracket for that. Do have to tell you one thing here, and let me move this stuff out of the way. Wanted to make sure that the Pitman arm fit onto the shaft and everything like that when I put it on. So I picked up the box yesterday. Yeah, it wasn't this box, it was another one. Brought it back home, and I was cleaning all the threads and off all my nuts and bolts and all that good stuff like that. And went to put the Pitman arm on the box I picked up yesterday. Went to put the nut on. Nut wouldn't go on. It's like, oh, did I have a bad nut? And I chased the threads in there, and it seemed like it was fine. So went back to the parts store today because I had to pick up the pump and a couple other odds and ends. And I asked the gentleman there at the parts store, I said, hey, do you got any more of these boxes? And the guy says, yeah. He said, we actually have another one that just came in, kind of replaced that one that you picked up yesterday. And of course, went to put the nut on, and it fit right on there. So I guess it was a bad box yesterday with bad threads on it. So you never know when you're getting stuff. So always make sure and check any of that before putting these boxes on. I mean, that'd be get you probably a little ticked off if you went through and put the box on and then find out you couldn't put the Pitman arm or couldn't put it on because of bad threads. So anyways, there's all the items. Again, I'll list it below. So let's get this thing on there. And again, before we put this box up here, I can't strongly recommend enough the 3 holes for the steering box here. These are threaded holes. You want to make sure those threads are good. You either want to chase them out or use the original bolts and screw them down in there. And as you can see, these all threaded in nicely, nice and tight. There's not a lot of play or anything to them. Now, the steering box mounts on the inside of the frame and has those 3 long bolts I just showed you. It goes through these 3 holes here. I take either a piece of bar or some longer, smaller screws. I'm going to go ahead and put them through that hole so it comes out the other side, and it's actually sticking out probably a good 1.5 inches or so. That way when I go over there, I can pick up the box, I can put it on these things, and I can go ahead and put it on there, and then I can just pull one out at a time and then put the regular bolt in there. But that way it can hold it up there because the boxes are heavy. It's kind of an awkward position. Sometimes you could put it on a floor jack and jack it up in there if you have another person to jack it as you try to get them in there. But this usually works as well. So let me grab that and see if we can't get it up there. All right, as you can tell, we go and have that up on there. So we're just going to replace one bolt at a time in there and get it threaded into that steering box. All right, got one in there. Let's try for a second one. All right, got those two started in there, so let me go grab a wrench. All right, we got 2 out of the 3 in there. Let's pull this last one out. Put the washer back on. Got to get under there and jiggle a little bit. And we got that one going. So let me grab a wrench to tighten that up. So we got all the bolts in there. I'll get them all tightened up. I'm gonna go around evenly, pull that box in little by little. Of course, they are some long-winded bolts. All right, so we got that all in. I'm just gonna go ahead and tighten them up, and we'll go to the top there, and we'll get the bracket and pulley and all that good stuff on the pump and install the pump. Before I almost forget there, before I install the pump up there, I'm gonna go ahead and put this Pitman back arm on. And as you noticed, you'll have a couple flat spots on this Pitman arm. You should have it in 4 places: 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 6, and 9. And make sure when you put it on your shaft on the steering box that you get those flat spots lined up when you're putting it on. So let's go put this on. So like I said, there's a, if you get there to focus here a little bit, there's a flat spot right there, and that's on your steering shaft coming out of your box. And like I said, you're gonna put it on, if you put it on wrong, it'll probably be 180 degrees or so off. But, there we go. And just push right up on there. And you can go ahead and put your nut, and you're gonna have a big washer and a nut that goes on there. So let me go grab that. So I got your big lock washer and the nut. And I'm going to go ahead and look up the torque spec for that. And then of course we're going to push this back over there, line that up, and put your steering link back up there onto that as well. A little bit of red Loctite on these threads.
So it's just going to put some of them on there. That bolt has a torque, if I remember correctly, if I look in a book, probably right around 180 pounds. I think my torque wrench only goes up to 150. So just make sure you got that thing on there tight. And if you got a bigger torque wrench, by all means, I'll probably end up borrowing a buddy of mine's afterwards. So get that sucker on there tight. So put a little red Loctite on there, put your washer on there, and let's see here. And then let's go get the wrench for that.
Now, like I said, this thing has a torque spec of 180 pounds. I have tightened this sucker up the best I can, and I think I'm rated about 150. Let's give it a final shot here. Put my foot up on the frame, grab a hold of the torque. That's 150 pounds. Let me tell you what, that sucker is on there. All right, let's keep moving along. All right, so I have that bracket that I had there. So I'm gonna put that on there. Fits on there like that. You have one longer bolt that fits over there, and the two shorter bolts fit there. I did put just a little bit of blue Loctite on these. Blues hold good, but if you need to take them apart, you can. It doesn't fight you as much as the red does. Or God forbid that you put the green on there, which will pretty much just, seems like it welds it on there. So anyways, fits on there just like that. Tighten this down a little bit. I'll get a bigger wrench and tighten these down pretty good, and then we'll go ahead and get the pulley and proceed to put the pulley on. So here's my little setup for putting these on. I know they make a tool for that. A buddy of mine has one because I've used it, and it's the same tool set, basically takes it off. But I don't have that particular tool, and I've done this quite a few different times. So basically, the inside, I'll use your old one here as a reference, that is threaded down inside there. It's usually a 3/8 thread, coarse thread. So if you put a bolt down in there, bottom it out, put a jam nut, I put a couple of spacers on there, and you can basically just hold the washer and you can just bring it down nice and slowly, and you can just keep wrenching on it, and it's going to draw your pulley back down on there, down to where you need it. If it goes too far down, then obviously you're going to have to get your puller to pull it back up. I'm going to get it down close to where I have, and then I'll do my final adjustment on there once I have it on there for the belt. But just keep wrenching on it. And like I said, it'll suck it right down on there. All right, I'm ready to put that pump on now there. So lucked out pretty good. There was a stud coming out of the head up there. I was able to use that. Had to put some washers on the bracket there. On the bottom side of the water pump where I'm pointing to is actually a tapped hole right there. So we could use that for part of it. And then this bracket over here on the other side here going off of this manifold. This was part of for a power steering. I can't remember what the other portion of it was that was cut off, but I was able to I had that and was able to put that on there, and that'll give it the third point on there. So let's go ahead and put this on. I put it on and off a couple of times trying to line up to one of those two pulleys down there for the belt, and I think I got it pretty close. So let's go put this thing on. We'll tighten it down and see how it looks. So I did go ahead and install, this is the high pressure side. It actually screws into the pump. This is your low pressure side. It just has like a barbed fitting on there. Like I said, this is made for newer style pump hoses. So the hose itself, if I can just circle around here, here we go. Get it to focus in here. These have O-rings on them, so they'll supply you the O-rings. So the little O-ring goes on there like that. Going to be one on each end. There we go. So it's going to be one on each end. One goes into that there. This is the other high pressure side. It's going to go into the steering box as well. So I'm going to go ahead and just put these hoses on for right now. Put it on. Let's see how everything lines up. We'll probably have to shorten the return line. It was really long, so just want to go ahead and put these things on here and see if we can't route them in there. Gotta snake these hoses down in there. That one goes on that right there. Let's see here. All right. Doesn't look too bad. That's up against that. We got that there. So we have it up there. It's against the down there. That's gonna go against that one right there. And it looks like we're pretty straight in line. I know there's a little crooked there, but looks like we're good for a belt on there. So let's get some bolts in here, tighten this puppy up. All right, so we went ahead and bolted this on. So we got 3 points here. So it's the bracket's bolted on right there. It's bolted on right there. And then we have it bolted on right there. This is adjustable and this one's adjustable. So it'll rock back and forth. So you can have adjustment on it. This one stays fixed up here. So got the lines hanging off the back of that. I'm gonna fish them around down to the steering box and let's see how we go with that. So the high pressure line came right in, fit in with no problem. This is the low pressure line. Obviously this is way too long, so we're gonna have to cut some off of that because this goes into that right there. Can't get these two mixed up. They're two different size fittings. They're both metric on these newer boxes, so you can't mix them up as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and tighten this one down. We'll pull this low pressure one back off. We'll measure it down and we'll get that in there. All right, so we got the low pressure line in. Did a little loop right there, but goes underneath and fit in there real nice. I wish this was like a 90-degree sweep or so, but maybe I'll look for one of those a little later. I can replace it. That's easy enough on the low pressure. And then as you can see on back of the pump back there, it's just a worm drive to put that in, type clamp. Again, low pressure, there's nothing there. So there's a barbed end on the hose as it comes out of the pump. As long as you use a nice clamp to tighten it down, you're good to go. All right, only thing left to do is put the rest of the column in up top. Let's go do that. All right, this is the rest of your steering column. It's collapsible, goes in and out right there. This part right there, as you can tell, has a kind of a square end there. And then you have this type of a shoulder bolt that goes through on the top of the column. And this is your bottom part with a rag joint in there. And it actually has a square right there on there. There we go, get that lined up. And that square part goes on the square part of the shaft coming out of the steering box. So we're gonna go ahead and put that on, slide this all the way together, and then go ahead and you slide it, put it on there, and then slide it back out, the bolt in the top. So let's drop that in. Just wanted to let you see there's the top part right there. This is where the top shaft part of it goes, and the part with the rag joint is gonna go down on the bottom side. Let's turn it around. And it goes right onto the shaft right there that you're looking at. So we're gonna go ahead and put that on there, line up your flat spot on the flat spot where the splines are, and then like I said, you pull it back out and we'll put it on that top piece. As you can tell down in there, it's hard to see, but let's see if I can't get down in there a little bit more. You can see the flat spot. You can see the flat spot on that spline right there, and that's where the rag joins. So you're just gonna go ahead and tap that down there with your hand. And then like I said, where it goes back up to here, you put it in there and it's gonna go into that section as well right there. All right, so let's tap this down and get it in there. All right, we got that now tapped down onto that section of it right there. So just gonna go back up to this section. And you can see I'm just a little off there. I'm just gonna have to push it down a little bit more and then I can pull it up. It's not the easiest, you're gonna struggle a little bit, but you can do it. All right, got that one lined up, and we're gonna go ahead and put that shoulder bolt through there, put the shoulder bolt down below, and get these tightened up. All right, so after a few trips back and forth to the parts store, got the right belt on there. double checked everything. Everything is nice and tight. It's time to go ahead and put some fluid in there. If I remember correctly, on these old style pumps, you're probably looking at about a quart for the whole system. So I'm gonna pour a little bit in there, crank it up, let it rotate around a little bit, make it burp all the bubbles and all that good stuff out of there, and then we'll check for leaks. So I'm gonna go ahead and fill this thing up. I am putting just regular power steering fluid. Not that I'm endorsing Lucas or anything like that. It's just what I happen to have around at the time. I know some people like to use automatic transmission fluids, and I've used that as well. But seeing as it's a nice clean system, I figured I'd go off with the the power steering fluid. Well, as you can tell, it's very easy to turn. One-handed there, basically one finger there. So worked out really good. Got all the air bubbles out of it that I think of. I've checked the fluid a couple times. No leaks. That's a good thing. So we have success. So anyways, let's go try this here. So yeah. Feels pretty good. I like it. We should have done this years ago. Yeah, what a difference. What a difference this box makes. Unbelievable. Almost wouldn't have guessed that. Let's see how it works here. Let's see. Oh, man. Sweet. Oh, yeah. Instead of doing a 20-point turn now, I should be able to do a 3-point turn. Well, as always, thanks so much. Don't forget, give me a thumbs up if you like this kind of content. Always trying to do something on one of the hot rods, so just let me know. Again, don't forget to subscribe, thumbs up, leave any comments below. Thanks so much. See you guys.